Write the rule for g of x given that g of x is formed by a vertical shrink of f of x by 1/4, then translating f of x up 4. So f of x is the cube root of x. G of x is going to be based on f of x, but there's going to be a vertical shrink of 1/4 and a translation of up 4. So let's do the vertical shrink first. That means 1/4 will be in front of the cube root of x. Okay, so this 1/4 is a vertical shrink by 1/4. And then translating up 4 means there's a plus 4 outside of the cube root sign here. So this is our g of x. And let's verify on the graphing calculator. So math 4 gives us a cube root and x. Now down to y2, I'm going to graph the translated function. Now on y2, I'm going to graph g of x. So 1 divided by 4. Then math 4 gives a cube root. And we'll put x. Then right arrow to get out of the cube root sign, and then plus 4. Let's look at the graph. Looks like my window's a little funky. I can't really tell what's going on here. So I'm going to change my zoom to zoom 6. Remember, zoom 6 is the standard zoom 10 by 10. Now f of x is the blue, g of x is the red. Comparing the g and the f, you can easily see there's a translation of up 4 here. But also, you can see that the g of x is shrunken vertically. It just looks kind of squished. Let's look at the table. Let's scroll down to 0 here. A little bit further. Okay, now the values I wanted to look at are 0, 1, and 8, and that's because the numbers are rational numbers. It's easier to tell what the decimals are and compare. So let's look at an input of 0. For f of x, which is y1, the output is 0. For g of x, the output is 4. So that tells you you're adding 4, which means you're translating up 4. Now let's talk about the vertical shrink. If you compare the outputs of 0 and 1, for y1, which is f of x, you increase by 1. You go from 0 to 1, you get 1. From y2, which is g of x, you go from 4 to 4.25. So that's an increase of only 1/4 compared to f of x. So you have 1 to 1/4. Now, let's compare from the input of 0 to 8. For f of x, the output increases by 2, from 0 to 2. For g of x, the output increases by 0.5, from 4 to 4.5. Now 0.5 is 1/4 of 2, so that once again verifies that we have a vertical shrink by a factor of 1/4 for g of x compared to f of x. So we've now verified the transformations, and we know this g of x is correct.